All right. Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Most likely, you're probably going to be watching the replay because I had some technical difficulties with my webcam. It wouldn't come on for a while. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the webinar and it'll be recorded and I'll post the link. I did post this new link in the group and yeah, I posted it in the group. So if you happen to be on Facebook and you see the link, you can go ahead and click and join me. If not, you can just watch the replay and I will be totally okay with that. And we'll just try live another time. So let me go ahead and introduce myself. So welcome to Marvelously Natural Healthy Hair Webinar Series. I am Chara Anjali Harris, and I am a naturalista and a natural hair care strategist. I've been natural for 15 years. I transitioned 2 times, once from a relaxer and once from iron deficient anemia damaged hair. And it's that second transition where I learned to pay attention to my hair, be really strategic, learn my hair. And it's those strategies that have gotten my hair to thrive and grow since then that I want to share with you and help you love and embrace your God-given hair. So, oh, I've got one viewer. Yay, someone found me. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen so I can go through the webinar. And again, this is being recorded and it will be posted in the group so you can watch it as a replay since the live wasn't working right at 6 o'clock. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Hide on that. All right, so welcome to the second webinar in our Healthy Hair webinar series. And in this webinar tonight, we're going to go through 5 keys that's going to help you reach your hair growth goals in 2018. Since we're still at the beginning of the year, I know you've probably set goals on working out and exercising and for your diet and all of that. And us women, of course, we set goals for our hair as well, whether we want to actually color it, get a new haircut, or just let it grow and really be intentional in our hair care for this year. So there's 5 things that you can do to send you on a good hair growth journey for this year. And so we're going to jump right in. So again, I am Chara Anjali Harris, my welcome page. You can find me on Facebook and on Instagram at my handle right there at Marvelous Are His Works. And I would love to have you follow me. I post updates on different hairstyles and products, and I do live videos every now and then talking about hair products and all of that. So I would love to have you join me and also share your social media handles as well, because I will follow back most definitely. All right. So before we go into the 5 keys, I'm going to share a little bit about my story so you can understand where I'm getting my steps from and that these things actually worked and they worked for my hair. So what I have here is 2 pictures of me when I was much younger. The cap and gown, I was graduating high school, and in the red blazer, it was my first year of teaching school. I was a middle school teacher. And if you notice, my hair pretty much stayed the same length. And both of this was when my hair was relaxed. And I wasn't putting a lot of heat on it. I was getting wet sets most of the time. And so that was kind of like indirect heat for my hair. And it looked great. I got a lot of compliments, but it pretty much stayed the same length. It really didn't get any longer than the shoulder length on there. So in 2003, between 2001 and 2003, I transitioned from the relaxer and I went natural. And so here's a picture of my natural hair, no relaxer, and I got a silk press that I pressed out. And you can see already that it is much longer than my hair was when it was relaxed, or it just kind of stayed the same length. Okay. So I saw those benefits of my hair right away. And then in 2013, I was diagnosed with uterine fibroids and I had iron deficient anemia. And that caused my hair to get really, really brittle. It thinned out. I had shedding like crazy. Like I thought I was losing my hair. Like my hair is really thick and I was starting to be able to see my scalp when it wasn't wet or weighed down or anything. And so I knew something was not right with my hair and my health. So the next picture I'm going to show you is after I got under a doctor's care, got on an iron regimen and all of that, my hair started growing back thick like immediately. So you can see here, I've got some thick roots of new growth and then I've got the thin ends. So all that thin part was when my hair had thinned out and it had just shedded and really got really, really thin. The whole texture of it changed. I mean, the curls were looser and everything. And I was like, what's going on? And didn't even cross my mind until I started getting better that I realized the anemia had damaged my hair. So this is when I started really paying attention to my hair and its characteristics and what worked for it. So I'm going to share a few more pictures of it was about half healthy and then half you could see the thin ends at the bottom down there. And then here's a picture of me, the twist out when my hair was damaged. So you can see how thin it is and everything. And I don't like that picture. I'm smiling, but I wanted to document my hair because I'm like, I'm going to document this process of getting my hair back healthy again. So once I grew out the roots for maybe about, I think 18 months, about a year and a half, I cut off the straggly ends. And so I documented that as well. So those are all the skinny ends up there. I cut it off and then put it in a twist right there. And there's my hair after I took it out of the twist. So you've got some bouncing curls back, not that thin, straggly stuff. And then this is my hair now. So when I cut off these ends of my hair, it was like 2015 or so. So this is my hair 2017, 2018. That's a twist out. And then I have a wash and go. So it's a lot thicker. And you can tell I've got lots of shrinkage going on there. And what I learned in my journey is that one thing is shrinkage is a sign of healthy hair. So if your hair is really shrinking up, then you've got some healthy hair going on there. Because as soon as your hair gets damaged by heat, by chemicals, or even by health reasons, you're going to start losing that shrinkage. That's the first thing I lost. I started noticing that my curls were looser. And I thought it was because my hair was growing, but it wasn't. It was because it was thinning out. The texture was changing because of the anemia. And so once my healthy hair came back in, I've got my tight, bouncy curls back again. So I know now that is a sign of your hair being healthy. My go-to style is usually the twist out, but sometimes I will do a wash and go as well. So the journey that I took from 2013 to now, or to get my hair back on track, is where I learned a lot of things about my hair. And that's what I want to share with you so that you can be strategic about your hair growth goals and you can get your hair to where you want it to be. Right? So the main thing you want when growing your hair is you want length retention, right? And so what that means is that you want to keep the hair that grows. You want it to stay on your head. So everyone's hair grows unless there's a serious health issue or some kind of genetic issue. Everybody's hair grows at least a half an inch a month. Now, some people may have a faster growth rate, some may have a little slower, but on average, it's about a half inch each month. And so why length retention is important is you don't want to grow that half inch, but then you lose the half inch as well because you got your ends are straggly, you've got shedding going on, you've got breakage. That can cause it to where your hair feels like it's just stagnant, like it's growing. But if you've got a lot of breakage going on, you've got a lot of shedding going on, then it's not really getting any longer. It's just going to stay kind of the same. And you think it's not growing, but it's losing the same amount of hair that it's growing in. So it's kind of staying the same. So we want to retain that length, right? You want things that's going to cause your hair to not break off. You want things that are going to cause it to not shed as much. You want your ends to be nice so you don't have to trim them as often. You still need to trim, but you don't want to trim them as often if you're wanting your hair to grow long. So these 5 keys are going to help you retain length, and they're also going to keep your hair healthy as well. Okay, so we're going to go into the first one. And the first key is to know your hair. Know your hair. And there are 4 characteristics that you should know about your hair. And I'm telling you, when I was getting my hair back healthy from the anemia damage, when I really sat down and literally like wrote this in like a little notebook of what all these different characteristics of my hair, the 4 main characteristics, and started picking things, being strategic, picking things that were for those characteristics, choosing YouTube, women that do videos on YouTube about hair. I deliberately I would seek out women that had the characteristics of my hair. So I would search in there. So I was only watching them, because there is a huge amount of information out there, which is absolutely wonderful, but it can also be too much. You can be watching someone for months and everything their hair looks beautiful, and then you try it and it doesn't. And it's not that the product is bad, it's just it's not for your hair. So the 4 characteristics that you want to know about your hair is your curl type, right? There's a whole chart that goes from like straight hair all the way to kinky hair, and it's a huge spectrum in the middle there. So you want to know your curl type on there. You want to know your porosity, right? How does your hair hold water? How does it get water in, and how does it hold water? How does it get moisture? How does it hold moisture? That one is very important. It's actually more important than the curl type, because that's going to help with a lot of things. You also want to know your density of your hair. That's how thick your hair is, right? So density is how many strands of hair do you have per square inch. So if you have really thick hair, you have a lot of strands that are packed in close, tight together. You have thin hair, you don't have as many strands per square inch, not tightly packed in there, right? And then of course that's a range, that's a big spectrum. You can fall in the middle, on the thick end, on the fine end, or somewhere along the range. And then you also want to know your hair texture. So the texture spectrum is fine to coarse. And a lot of times we get texture and density mixed up, or we think they're the same thing. You see a lot of products, and you may even see some videos that say thin, fine hair. And you can have thin hair and fine hair, but they don't always go together. But you hear that a lot, like it's like they're supposed to go together, but they don't. For example, would be my hair. My hair is fine. If I take a little strand and hold it up to the light, it's kind of hard to see. So your texture is how thick are your individual strands, right? And so you can have fine hair, but you can have a lot of it densely packed in. So you can have fine hair that's thick, or you can have fine hair that's thin. And then you can have vice versa. You can have coarse hair where your strands are a lot thicker and easier to see, but you don't have as many of them per square inch packed in there, right? Or you can have really, really thick hair and your strands are also coarse. So, and then there's a range. If someone you're going to fall somewhere in a range between that fine and that coarse, and you're going to fall somewhere between the thick and the thin. So those are the 4 most important things that are going to drive everything else you do for your hair. So those are the 4 you want to find out about your hair. The second step, once you know your four characteristics, the second thing is you want to moisturize your hair properly. And knowing those characteristics are going to help guide you into how to moisturize properly. There's so many different techniques out there, right? There's the liquid oil cream, the LOC, then there's the liquid cream oil, the LCO, and then there's a liquid oil cream and then sealant, right? So there's like the LOCS and LCO, and then you've got something called the baggy method, and then you've got the max hydration method, and there's a lot of things out there. And you just have to, if you know your hair, then you'll start to know what's going to work on your hair, what's not going to work on your hair, what's going to work best, what's not going to work best. So you're not just trying things willy-nilly to see what's going to work. All right. So knowing your 4 characteristics will help you moisturize properly. And you want moisturized hair because that's going to help make your curls pop, make your kinks be nice and moisturized, right? And it's going to actually, when your hair is really moisturized, it's going to shrink, but shrinkage is a healthy thing. So you want to have the shrinkage. Of course, you can stretch your hair, but shrinkage is not necessarily a bad thing. And moisturized hair is going to be easier to detangle. Okay, your ends are going to be better. So these are things that's going to help you retain that length of your hair being moisturized. So once you know your 4 characteristics, you know how to moisturize. The third thing is be gentle. This may seem kind of like a no-brainer or common sense, but if you want to retain length and you don't want breakage and you don't want a bunch of split ends that you're going to have to trim off and cut, then you're going to want to be gentle with your hair. So one of the things that I learned this from someone else I watched on YouTube, and it made so much sense at the time, but I hadn't thought about it, is if you're tired and you don't feel like doing your hair, then don't do it. Okay. Because you don't want to rush through it, especially if your hair is growing longer. We got all these curls, and it takes a little bit more work to work with our hair than someone that has straight hair. So don't do it, right? Because you don't want to rush through your detangling process. That's definitely will cause split ends or cause breakage, and that's the 2 things you don't want. The other thing is, as your hair grows out, depending on the thickness of your hair, you want to work in sections all the time. I even cleanse my hair in the shower. My hair is usually in 4 sections. And I take down one section and cleanse it with the cleanser, rinse it out, put the conditioner on it, and, either twist that section up or put it in a bantu knot, and then I move to the next section. And it sounds like it's going to take longer, but it actually cuts your time in half because you're working in smaller sections so you can detangle and your hair is not like all over the place. When I try to do it without sections and I have all this hair everywhere, it takes me longer because it takes longer to detangle because it's gotten all tangled up with itself and everything else. So I section doing my pre-shampoo treatment, like before I get in the shower. So that's helps me not stay in the shower so long. I do some things before I get in, and then I can work in the sections in the shower, and it just makes it a lot easier. It does go a lot faster, which doesn't seem like it will, but it does. So that one is kind of no products or anything like that. It's just kind of how you treat your hair. So definitely be gentle with your hair. Our 4th step is going to be protect your ends, right? You want to protect your ends because if you have a lot of split ends and they keep working up your hair shaft, you're going to have to cut them off. There's no way to fix those split ends once they start moving up, right? And you will have to trim your hair regularly, but not as often if you're keeping your ends moisturized, you're keeping them detangled and all of that. So then you won't have a lot of split ends that you have to cut off. One of the things that I do to protect my ends is I use castor oil. And I've used both. I've used the clear castor oil and I've used the Jamaican black castor oil. I like both of them. I can't really tell you which one I like best. I don't know. I maybe the Jamaican black, but I don't know. I like both. And so usually what I do, my go-to style is the twist out. And so I cleanse my hair, condition, put my products on, moisturize, all of that. And once I get my hair all in its twist, I go back and I dip my finger in some of the castor oil and I put it on the ends of my hair, like twirl it around my finger so it gets on the ends of my twist. And that helps just to keep them moisturized. It's going to help when I take down the twist because it's going to help that it's going to be moisturized. They're not going to be all tangled around each other. I can untwist it easily. So there I'm avoiding some breakage and avoiding causing split ends as well. So protect your ends is our step 4 on there. Our 5th step, or 5th key, so to speak, not really steps. These aren't like step 1, step 2, step 3. Our 5th key to having length retention so that your hair will grow is to do low manipulation styles, right? Like find a go-to style and so that you get used to doing the style, your hair gets used to the style, and then it's not like you're doing something with your hair different all the time. So like I mentioned earlier, my go-to style is the twist out. For one, it stretches my hair a little bit because I have a lot of shrinkage. And so it stretches it. And my twist outs never really look like twist outs. They actually look like stretch to wash and go. So I like that look. So I'm kind of happy with that. And so that's my process. And I've also, something else I started doing, especially in the winter right through here, is I don't cleanse my hair. I don't wash it every single week. I wash it every other week. So week one, I'll cleanse, deep condition, moisturize, put my styler and then do my twist. And I usually do maybe 10 twists depending on the look I go for, but I usually go between 8 or 10 twists on my hair. And you let that dry for a day and then take it down, fluff it out. And it's humid. It's so humid here in Texas, even in the winter, we have a lot of humidity and rain. And so when the humidity gets to it, the twist out will actually kind of curl. And then I've got this elongated wash and go look, which is really nice. So I actually kind of like the humidity now because it helps my hair, helps the style. So that would be week one. And so what I've started doing is week two, I don't use a cleanser or anything, but I will get under the shower and I'll let water run through my hair. And so I do kind of like a water rinse. And then I'll apply a leave-in, and I may add a little bit more styler. I may not. So usually week two hair is a lot fluffier than week one because I try not to put too many products on there to weigh it down. But I definitely do a leave-in, and I definitely seal with my favorite oil. And I'll put it back in my 8 twist and let that dry, and then I wear it the second week. And so usually that's a fluffier twist out, but I'm still okay with it. But that lets me not manipulate my hair so much, right? But still getting it moisturized. Like I'm re-wetting it, getting the moisture sealed in there and all of that, but not a whole lot of cleansing and working things up and roughing anything up there. So you kind of find what works for your hair and your schedule and your style, and you'll kind of find a style that suits what's works best for you, and then you just kind of keep it, and you just kind of take that one style and get better at it and better at it, right? So what I've noticed is that to get more length retention in your hair to grow, it's almost like you do less. Like as simple as you can go, I've seen the best results, right? When I'm doing a whole lot of steps and stuff on my hair, it's like it freaks out, and sometimes it'll be real dry because I've done too much new stuff to it or whatever. But when I stick to something simple, that's when it stays moisturized and I see growth and I see the health of my hair. All right. So we're going to review our 5 keys here. So the first one is know your hair. Your hair has 4 main characteristics. Okay. If you include length, that could be the 5th characteristic, but usually the length of your hair doesn't really determine what products you buy and all that stuff. So I usually stick to the 4 that I mentioned earlier. So know your hair. Once you know your 4 characteristics, you can moisturize properly. Then you find out which method of moisturizing your hair is going to work best. Number 3, be gentle, right? If you don't feel like doing your hair, don't do it. Have a go-to style that you can do when you don't feel like doing your hair. Like mine is the bun. And I even have some Marley hair, like braid hair, that if my bun's not big enough, then I'll just add some fake hair to it. So I've got this nice big bun up there. And that's my go-to style when I'm just like, not doing my hair until tomorrow because I don't feel like doing it tonight or it's too late. I have a go-to style that I do, which is a bun. Number 4, protect your ends. So you want to use a good sealing oil like castor oil, grapeseed oil, anything that's a good sealant. You want to use that on your ends. Wear a silk scarf at night, wear a satin bonnet at night. Keep your ends from being like all over the place when you're sleeping on your pillowcase, or just use a silk or satin pillowcase and that will work. Number 5, find styles that are low manipulation, right? You don't want to be doing a whole lot of stuff to your hair. So low manipulation styles. Some things I want to add to the be gentle that I just thought of is if you can finger detangle, do that first. Like I usually do that in the pre-shampoo portion before I'm in the shower with the conditioner and a comb. And that actually makes that detangle session better because I've used my hands to kind of get some of the knots out because your hair does shed. So you got to get the, shedded hair out, knots out. Use your hands as much as possible. And the second thing is as your hair gets longer, you're going to want to actually use a comb to part. Now you may already do that, but I was really bad about parting with my fingers and just, but I started noticing that when you have these jacked up parts and then you're twisting, it caused more kind of kinks. Things would not be, I don't know, hair would just lock on itself and twist, and I'd have some knots and stuff. And so I noticed when I really started using a comb to make my parts, to do my twist, I had a little bit less tangles going on there. So use a comb and use your fingers when you can for the be gentle part. All right. So those are the 5 keys. These are the 5 things that's helped me go from severely, really damaged hair to where my hair is now. Those are the 5 things that have helped me. And so what I also want to tell you about, before I say goodnight and get off here, I want to tell you about my course that I'm working on called Marvelous You, Natural Hair Care Simplified. Okay. And so the 5 things that I talked about, if you are kind of clueless, like, where am I going to get this information from? How am I going to really know how to find the 4 characteristics of my hair correctly and all of that? This course is going to be for you, because all the things that I just talked about, I'm going to walk you through it in this course. Okay. And so you'll be able to have moisturized, defined hair, however you want to wear it, without watching tons of tutorials and buying a lot of products. Because once you know your hair and you know how to moisturize it, then you'll know exactly what to buy. And if you're searching out somebody and want to look on YouTube, you'll know exactly who to search for or what to put in the search box. And you'll start finding people, the same people you can watch over and over, because they have either your same hair type or very close to your hair type, and you're not just all over the place. So in this course, there's going to be 4 modules. And the first module is we're going to deal with the mindset. We're just going to deal with, how do you feel about your hair, right? And you may think you feel okay about it, but you got to think, for years, you've been relaxed, or you've been getting oppressed, periodically, right? So you really didn't deal with your kinky hair or curly hair. And the society we live in is basically straight hair centered, right? It's like straight hair is it. It's changing now, but when we were coming up, it was like straighten your hair to be accepted, to go on your job interview or whatever. So we're so used to that. So our mind is still kind of stuck in that. So a lot of women have gone natural, and they're still expecting their kinky curly hair to kind of behave like the relaxed hair, and it's not. And then they're getting frustrated. And it's like, you gotta look at what your hair is going to do and not going to be able to do. And so that would be our first module, get our mind set right, renew our mind. And then the second module is going to walk you through finding your hair personality. So that's that step 1 in my 5 keys for the length retention. That's going to help you go through figure out the 4 characteristics of your hair. Okay. And I will walk you through that. There'll be videos, handouts, so you'll know everything you need to know about your hair. The third module is, once you know your 4 characteristics, now you can go and buy the right products for your hair. So module 1 is going to set your mind right. Module 2, you're going to find the 4 characteristics of your hair, and then we're going to use the information from 2 to show you how to shop for products and you're going to start figuring out what ingredients are working for your hair, what ingredients are not working for your hair, and actually be mindful of that and pay attention, and then know what to go buy. So then once we get to the 4th module, now that you know your hair, main characteristics, you know what products you need to go buy, then we're going to work on coming up with a regimen just for your hair. All right. So when you get finished with this, the course, you're basically going to have like a little booklet that's just all about your hair. All right. Because you're going to be taking notes, and there's going to be note pages to go with it. There's going to be videos to go with everything that'll walk you through all these steps. And then you'll have this little all about your hair and what works for your hair. Right. And then, of course, you can always come back to it if you have any kind of life change. I know pregnancy changes your hair. You take certain medications, change your hair. You put color in your hair, that changes your hair. And you may have to come back and do some of these things again to figure out, oh, my porosity level has changed, or, oh, this has changed. You can come back to it and then always be able to buy the right products and have a healthy regimen for your hair. So if that sounds like something that you would want to do, sit down with me and go through these lessons and handouts, then I invite you to join my wait list because I am still working on the course. So you can join my wait list by going to this link right here, bit.ly/work with Chara. It's going to give you more information about what's in the course, more than just my 4 little topics here. You're going to find everything about the course in there, and then you can absolutely join the wait list. And also, if you're not in my free Facebook community, I invite you to join my free community. There's a link is there, bit.ly/FB Natural, and you can join my free community. All right. So I am so excited about all the things that's happening in my community, what's coming up for in the course and for natural hair. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to see if some of you were able to join live when I posted the new link. Let's see. And I'll see if there's any questions. I'll check and see if there's any questions in the chat box there. But if not, that's totally okay. I know I had some technical problems. And so this will be posted in the group. It'll also be posted just on my Facebook page. If you're not in my group, I have a Facebook page that's Marvelously Natural, and it'll be posted there as well. And you can watch it there as well. Okay. So I'll leave that there just for a little bit. And then I will move on. Okay. So again, I want to thank you for joining my webinar. I hope I didn't talk too fast. I'm kind of a fast talker. I'm a educator by trade and by calling. And so my students used to tell me sometimes, Miss, you're talking too fast. You got to slow down for us. And so I'm kind of used to getting that from my kids. But I'm using all those skills in creating this course. So I'm really excited to be creating a course and lessons dealing with something that I'm really passionate about, which is loving our natural hair. So thank you so much. Again, I am Chara Anjali Harris. You can find me on Facebook and in Instagram at those links right there. Okay, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can say goodbye to everybody and see if there's any questions in the chat box. So let me escape there. All right, should be back on me. Hey, y'all. All right, so let me check my chat box and see if there's anything over here. I don't see any questions, which is fine. I had technical difficulties, so I'm sure there's not many people that are watching right now, and that's totally okay. All right, so since there aren't any questions, let me get my stuff back up here. All right, so since there aren't any questions, of course, you can always put a question in the comments in the video here as well, or I'm going to post this video in my group and I'm going to post it on my page. Both are Marvelously Natural, and you could also post any comments or questions underneath the video there as well. So those of you that were able to join me, I thank you for being patient, hanging with me, coming back in after I had some computer problems. And if you're watching the replay, thank you again for your support and watching the replay. And stay tuned for another webinar, and stay tuned also for the course that is coming out as well. So I thank you very much, and I hope you have a very wonderful Saturday evening, and I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.